Match day 20 in the books. A few surprising results. Arsenal dropping points to the home merchants Fulham at Craven Cottage. Elsewhere, Liverpool have a somewhat, should I say, controversial game at the very end. Absolutely smoking Newcastle. We'll get to all 6 goals from the 4-2 thriller. Elsewhere, City keep on rolling now, maybe finding their groove as they pick up all 3 points against Sheffield. Cover all that was from match week 20. This is the Premiership Crucial Podcast.
Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Back, Fuchs, and the ball in behind Damian Vardy! It's 11! It's heaven for Jamie Vardy!
You are an ostrich. Well, your head must be in the sand. Is your head in the sand? Are you flexible enough to get your head in the sand?
Now the fans are shouting every week, Louis van Gaal's army! Louis van Gaal's army!
Feet after a fabulous start, the game just got away from you there.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say about the game at all.
Drama from day one! This is the league we want to watch!
Oh, Sammy boy, the pipes are calling.
The 2024 pipes have called. The last of the 2023 games.
The Everton pipes are no longer calling, I'll say that.
The Everton pipes are ice cold.
Yes.
But you know what? You know whose pipes aren't ice cold? Charity FC. No more.
Todd Bowley's pipes.
Todd Bowley. He knows it's January.
Just imagining this is what he lives for, is January.
He hibernates.
He's
except for the transfer windows.
He's a bear and he pops out. They should actually do the FX show. They should do a second series called The Bear. And it's rather about the cook. It's actually just Todd Bowley, and he comes out. It's about the January transfer window. Mini series.
Common theme? Cooking.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get right into it in this one. Chelsea, pretty lively in this one, especially whenever they're able to break. They looked pretty good. The only guys who really, didn't look all that great were Jackson and Broja. But what else is new? It's not Chelsea if the striker position isn't a struggle. But
Exactly.
Sam Cole Palmer arrived, I guess. People are really hyped on him now. Thinking he should be in England because he popped off against Luton.
Well, you know what? Luton is a respectable side.
Yeah, but no one says it, and that's what's messed up. I don't know why.
Yeah, no one gives
are.
them credit.
Yeah, it's like if Luton sucked or if it was Sheffield, people would be like, all right. But no one's just going to admit it there. I don't know why. Yeah, it feels like Cole Palmer really is kind of like all or nothing in these games. And a lot more lately than not, he's been a lot more all and a lot less nothing. But his ability, when he's kind of in control of the game, you can feel it. He does a real good job spreading the ball around. This one, however, was a gift from Luton to Charity FC as Jackson was on the break, has a crappy shot right at Kaminsky. And then Luton tried to play out from the back, and it's intercepted by Palmer. There's a little slicing shot that goes to the far post, side netting it in, make it 1-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, pretty suspect play out of Issa Kabore on that one. Gifted the goal, like you said. I was surprised after the goal. Luton had a spell of possession, and Chelsea were just kind of like, you know what? Have the ball. We don't need the ball here.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna sit back
Chelsea,
and let you attack.
Chelsea really were kind of able to absorb the pressure, not really just feed in by constantly pressing and stuff. teetering a bit on shameless, but not full
It
shameless
was
low block. But
it,
it was right
it
there.
was pretty
It
darn
was right there.
close.
It was right there. It just makes me wonder why Chelsea don't do it more against some of these some other teams. Maybe they just don't trust the defense at all.
Going for the Tottenham Hotspur of
Yeah, you
last
gotta
year.
gotta start somewhere. Might as well bring in Conte too. Chelsea do get a second, another counterattack chance. Um, this time Palmer plays it through to Medwake, puts a little hezzy on, and then absolutely roofs it. Um, tough,
Yeah, that was pretty
tough one
dirty.
for Kaminsky to save. I don't know why Medwake wasn't playing for the longest time. I get he had a little injury, but then it's just like Pochettino just didn't put him in. And meanwhile, their attack has not looked very good for a good while. What the month of November and chunk of December. So
Yeah, anything that gets Sterling on the bench for me is a win.
Sam, if
So
I told you right now that if Sterling made that pass against Wolves, that Chelsea would be in a European spot, would you believe me?
no, I wouldn't, because Chelsea's in like 11th.
No, they would be tied for seventh because they they'd be tied with Brighton right now. Can you believe that?
Oh,
This year's
there's
been
a lot of
so
stinky
wacky.
mid-table.
It's this year has been so wacky with
Yeah,
the Brighton and Man U. Remember when Man U's 3 points off Man City? Remember that? Like
no,
a few weeks ago? That was a few weeks ago. They're 3 points off Man City. It's like, oh
yeah,
my god.
that was
Um,
strange.
goes into halftime 2-0. Second half, Luton looking a lot better, actually making Petrovic kind of work at this point, as they were kind of penetrating Chelsea's defense a little more. Um, made a couple halftime changes that worked for
Hmm.
the better, especially Ogbene.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought those changes were great. Ogbene and Tahith Chong, they were immediately like, all right, bring in some energy. Chong is perfect if you're trying to hit on the counter.
says Rob Edwards bought himself like 2 more Premier League jobs. Not saying Luton are gonna sack him or let him go, but like if he somehow something didn't work out and then
Yeah, I'm
he
sure
can come
someone
in.
would hire him.
Yeah. Um, trying to think of any major chances that happened in this early second half. Wasn't really much, especially not for Chelsea until the third goal. Cole Palmer played through by Nicholas Jackson, walks through, little hezzy, little get around Kaminsky, and then tuck it in the net, cool as you like, to make it 3-0.
Yeah, words don't really do this one justice. You have to see this slow-mo replay of this one because that was absolutely filthy. Brings in the era of cold Palmer.
Oh gosh.
Because that was ice cold, baby. You can't deny it. You can't deny it. Hank sits there. He's like, oh no, I can't take it. I can't take it. But he knows in his heart of
I
hearts
do know he
that
might
was
pass
full cook.
Gallagher as the best player on the team
Yeah,
now.
it was pretty dirty. And yeah, check that one out.
Then Luton score, but it's disallowed. Adebayo.
Yeah, uh, Alfie Dowdy offside just early on. He had a much better second half. First half, I thought he struggled a bit, but second half, yeah, they were cooking some more. Then they did have another chance. Adebayo putting a header off the bar,
Yep.
and then
They
finally,
really started piling it on.
yep, from the ensuing corner, Ross Barkley, the revenge game. Ross Barkley
Yes.
shows respect for
We're
Chelsea.
here
Doesn't
for it.
celebrate. Disappointed.
He's just a legend of the club.
True. Luton had another
um,
chance from a set piece. Carlton Morris nearly scored from.
Petrovic pushing it onto the bar.
Yeah.
And then Adebayo adds a second for Luton, and the comeback is officially on. Heads it in after a good Petrovic save, but couldn't push it far enough away. And then Chelsea bring in the closer Alfie Gilchrist to
He's the
see
guy,
the
man.
game out.
He's the guy.
He's literally a guy. There's
He is
something
him.
about Chelsea and just like having random white English guys out of like nowhere that just are just I don't know. They're like the most meme tier guys. Like Lewis Hall. Remember that guy? Yeah, I mean, what?
Lou
Who was
Hall.
he? And now they sell him to Newcastle for like 30 mil.
Yeah, and you
They're in a
notice
banter era. He doesn't really do
he
much,
doesn't
and they
play.
just sell him for 30 mil.
He doesn't play because the powers of the generic white guy only work when you're on Chelsea.
Well, true. I mean, think about how many guys like Nat Phillips on like Liverpool. They'll just pull guys like that, and they just keep them for 6 months, and they have a chance to sell them for profit. And Liverpool is like, no, 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 we need this guy. It's like,
Meanwhile, he like never plays more than like 2
no,
games. They don't sell him,
yeah.
and
It's
his
like, oh, okay,
value completely tanks.
in the tank. Yeah, it's like awesome.
Yeah.
Uh,
Really, the play was to counter Luton's Alfie with an Alfie of their own.
yeah, true. Otherwise, Chelsea definitely would have blown it, no
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it wraps up 3-2 for Chelsea. Takes all 3 points. Pretty spooky. I like how Thiago Silva was trying to be like a leader out there and like yelling at the guys and being like, you got to be focused. It's like you're on the team and like the oldest guy by like a bunch. You should maybe have leadership before it goes to 3-2. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
really
like
done with the Thiago Silva
yeah,
experience.
I see what he was going for, but it didn't
You're
really
also
come
part of the
off.
problem.
Yeah, it's like you just got subbed
It's
on, and
it's not like
you're like
you
36,
39.
30.
It's
He's
he's
39.
39. Yeah.
Jesus,
It's
guy's
yeah. It I don't understand it. It's like if you're trying to be a leader, why is the team like just barely competing for Europa League and Europa Conference League spots? Like I don't know. What do I know? Uh Moving on. The Claret and Blue Derby.
mm-hmm.
One
One of
of a
many.
handful this year. Yeah. Um Villa and Burnley. Burnley looking pretty decent in this one, Sam. They're hanging around, staying competitive.
mm-hmm.
Early on, for the most part, it was still Villa carrying the weight of the game, but Burnley still had one or two chances. Are you gaining any faith in Burnley yet? Because sometimes games like this, it'll make you think. You'll be like, oh, maybe, and then like Burgo will get his red card, and you'll just be like, oh no, actually they suck.
Yeah, I don't
It's
I don't
always
feel it. I don't
if
feel
there's
it.
2 steps forward, there's always 2 or 3 steps back.
Yeah. Every year there will be these teams, these bottom dwellers, and then something happens and you're like, I see it. I see what they're doing. It might just work out. I saw that happen with Luton earlier, but for Burnley and Sheffield United,
And
I can't see it. I mean, sometimes they possess the ball well, but it just ain't there, man. It just ain't there.
yeah, Villa opened the scoring through Leon Bailey. Ollie Watkins. This is the Ollie Watkins assist show today in this
Indeed.
game. Setting up Leon Bailey. Little cut back, nice shot.
Yeah,
But
good
then
response from Burnley.
yeah, Abdouni from Dara O'Shea. You know, it's like Burnley in this game able to fight back and then just play like crap once they fought back and just kind of sit back was like kind of admirable. But Villa's midfield in this game to me was like just not as good as it has been.
hmm
Sure, like Douglas Luiz and stuff got a goal. Even Diaby, like he was all right, but what we saw earlier this year was like not. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, his finishing was really bad in the second half.
Yeah, I thought that there'd be no way Villa won this game because they kept getting chances at the very end and would just constantly sky them, and it's like okay, they're just not going to happen for them.
Speaking of chances, Burnley had a big chance. Lyle Foster getting in behind and scoring, but was offside. fraction. And then just before halftime, Villa retaking the lead. Like you said, Ollie Watkins with the assist to Diaby for the goal there. Take the lead before halftime. Goes into halftime 2-1. And then, like you said, Villa, or Burnley rather, completely
Crap all over
defecate
themselves.
on
Get it? Yeah.
themselves. Sander Berge with the
Second
second
yellow.
yellow for the shirt pull.
Yep.
Very dumb. Very dumb. It
Yeah,
wasn't
and
even
then
a good shirt pull.
they tried to. Yeah, he didn't even get his money's worth. Then Aaron Ramsey comes on for the revenge game, and it didn't really come off. He didn't do much.
You know, something I thought about in this one too, shortly after that Berge red card, there was a moment, there was a handball call that wasn't given on Diego Carlos. I don't know if you remember
Yes.
that or not, but
Yeah, it
he
was
was
on
the
like the
last
edge of
man
the
back.
box. Yeah,
Yeah.
edge of the box, and it bobbled up, hit him in the hand, and then he like poked it wide of the net. And it's like, okay, we just don't look at that. We just don't care about that. It's like if you're gonna have VAR and you can like look at all this stuff, it's like why can't you check? Like
Yeah.
that would be a huge thing if Burnley got a guy sent off for a handball.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that seemed like a pretty clear handball to me, but apparently not to the referees and potential red card. Like we were saying, it's the last man back, but not given. And that
Yeah,
probably was a turning point game. Say,
true.
after that, it was pretty much just all Villa piling on the pressure. And as we mentioned with Diaby, the finishing, not just him though, the whole team was very poor and inefficient despite a number of chances.
Yeah,
McGinn,
yeah. It was just
Jacob
not
Ramsey.
not good, and these guys had space and time, and then it was just like constantly sail it over, weak shots. Just
Yeah.
was not good. And then
Yeah.
we get a controversial penalty in honor of or in favor of
Oh,
Villa rather.
we missed the second goal.
Oh, you want to talk about I thought you said Lyle Foster's goal. No, but they just, I mean, Lyle Foster gets a goal, really just hoofed up from Trafford onto Goodmanson
Yeah, it
and
was out of
plays him
nothing.
through. Yeah, and just plays him through. This whole these teams playing out of the back and not hoofing it forward. I hate to point to one goal and be like, "Why don't you do it?" But I feel like it's now become like it might have been an inefficiency. Now it's like something you can exploit if you're a team that's not as good, as talented. Um,
Well,
the
especially if
art
the
of
team's
hoofball.
playing a high line like Villa is.
Villa.
Like, it's not that hard to get in behind.
Yeah, you
You
just
have
win
just
win
one
a
header or
header
something.
flicked on, or you just get one little touch like that Goodmanson did. And Lyle Foster's off to the races, and he slots it near post on Emmy Martinez.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to that penalty you were alluding
Yeah.
to.
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, was it John
Controversial.
Duran that went down? And it was like the slightest of contact?
Yes, very slight contact. Aaron Ramsey on Duran. Very soft penalty.
I mean, I feel like we see this every week, and a lot of times it's one of those where the announcers, and rightfully so, will be like, "Oh, you know what? If that's in midfield, maybe you get that call, not in the box."
Yeah.
And except in this case, it was in the box, and he actually got that call.
Yeah. Hated that. Hated that call. Terrible call. But anyways, Douglas Luiz steps up, converts a penalty.
I was
Villa.
waiting for him not to score, and then they like have to retake the penalty because like Trafford came off his line or something. It felt like it'd just be like one of those. That's kind of how the game was going.
Villa take home all 3 points in that one.
Feel hard done if you're Burnley. Villa not playing quite as well at home. No, they're still home merchants. Don't get me wrong, but the
Yeah.
the home form has kind of dropped off a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like just maybe fatigue. Just playing a lot of. They had some rotation in this one. Long lay play.
Yeah, which I forgot he was on the team until like the Man U game. Like 2 or 3 games ago. I don't know why. I just don't remember him being on Villa. I will forever associate him with his time at Tottenham.
Legendary loan.
Speaking of legendary, uh, you know, opening 2 minutes for Brentford in this next game.
Absolute.
That's
Crystal
the
Palace
best transition right there.
versus
Yeah.
Brentford.
Yeah. Game starts off early. Little Matthias Jensen back heel on the wing, all the way up the wing to Roslev. Squares it for Keen Lewis Potter. Gets a little touch on it, and just like that's 1-0 Brentford.
Palace didn't know what hit them there. Lightning.
Yeah, it's, especially Brentford aren't really, I don't know, from open play lately have not been the best in terms of attack. It's definitely been a struggle to manufacture some goals. But that play looked almost like a training ground kind of
Yeah.
set play that they knew they could expose Palace on the wings there.
hmm But Palace, they pulled one back pretty quick. 13 minutes in. Jordan Ayew find Elise at the back post, scores with a great finish back across goal. He's cooking. Full
Yeah,
cooking.
and I mentioned this in Palace's last game, whereas like they didn't really go up the middle very much, and this goal obviously comes from out wide. But this game, I felt like they were at least able to kind of go through the teeth of Brentford, and play a little more central. Not the best game from Jensen and Norgard and Janelt, specifically kind of in that middle part of it too. Is they have Zanka and in there, so he was kind of a weak point for them to kind of go after. But apparently, Jordan Ayew crosses. That's just the way to go for Palace. He's on like a goal assist contribution streak now. He's been hot.
That's pretty disgusting, if I do
It
say.
it is it is. Um, Good chunk of this game. You know what? It must be said. I thought this would be one of the worst games of the week, and it actually wasn't like terrible to watch.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot more open than I thought it would be, to
hmm
say the least. But um, good mix of chances. Brentford really didn't have quite as many, and the chances weren't as good as Palace's. But I was just surprised that Elise and Etse playing. It makes sense that they're out here scoring, but also those guys after the game I think were hurt. No,
Yeah, I think so.
so now we can finally watch the Brazilian guy, hopefully Franca, end up coming in after this one. But those two guys out, I don't know what Palace do for attack, because even now it's still a struggle. I mean, you're playing Chris Richards in midfield, and while he's hanging in there and doing pretty well, I mean it's still not ideal.
Yeah.
He's definitely more of a center back than a holding midfielder.
Yeah, the attack has been pretty bleak outside of say and Eze so far. Mateta and Edouard not really cementing their spots in the team. But
Per usual.
yeah, Palace getting a goal, take the lead before halftime. As it gets on the end of a ball from Mitchell, inadvertently dummied by Mateta, I believe. I don't think it was
Yeah, it
intentional,
was.
but
Which I thought he flicked it on or did some little turn with it to get it to Etse. And that's why I was surprised when I went back and checked to see, and I didn't see he had an assist. But yeah, apparently it just went all the way through.
yeah,
But nice little run across the face of goal.
it did work
I
out
don't know,
well.
like 15 yards out. Little far post action. That was nice.
Yeah, it's kind of like jolting when Palace actually do something good because for the most part their attack is just so toothless.
It is toothless, but Brentford's organization defensively this game, like I was alluding to, was just not
Yeah.
very good. There's that moment where Pinnock had just like a back pass that was like it was going wide, but it also looked like it was potentially had a
Yeah.
chance to just go in, and Flecken had to like slide back and clear it away for a corner. And it's like, okay,
Yeah, it was not good. The Pinnock, Zanka, Nathan Collins
Yeah,
back three.
Collins back three is
No thanks.
It's not quite like Michael Keane and Godfrey and the Everton from a couple
Yeah.
years ago back three, but
Oh, they pulled that out the other game.
yeah. Yeah, it can never be forgotten. Um Goes into halftime 2-1. Second half, Palace opened it up with a couple more chances, and they actually put one away. Olise, nice little top bins peach at the far post. Assist from Mark Gahey. Um, yeah, I'm officially kind of. I texted you when this game was going on, and I said, "What did the odds that Brentford go down?" And you said 5%, which is it's fair because they're gonna have Tony coming back, and even if they sell Tony, they can at least use those funds for bringing in guys. But it's just really hard to watch right now. This is like Brentford a few years ago before they got Eriksson. Remember that?
Yeah. When they
Where it's
went
just
on
like
that dry
there's
spell in the middle of the season, and it was just
yeah,
brutal.
yeah.
If they
It's
can make it
it's
through that, they can make it through it.
yeah. They can make it through Sheffield, Burnley, and probably not Forest anymore, but Everton or Luton.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you gotta think this is about as bad as it'll get for Brentford. Obviously, Tony coming back soon. I don't know when exactly that'll be.
They
He would
said January 17th is when he's eligible to return, which would mean that I'm trying to look it up here. He would be there for their next game against Nottingham Forest on the 20th. So he's not going to miss any more games.
Yeah, I would imagine just throw him right in, honestly, at
Yeah.
this point.
Well, somehow he was able to like play like friendlies and stuff because I know that like during
Hmm,
international breaks, Brentford was playing like friendlies and he was like scoring in their games. So I was be like, oh, I
Interesting.
guess. So yeah, they come back at Forest and then Tottenham, City, Wolves, Liverpool,
So they'll need
West
him.
Ham, Chelsea, and Arsenal. Holy smokes, Brentford, Brentford, no,
Yeah,
that's quite the run.
and they need to get some of their guys back from injury,
Yeah,
and that's been a struggle too. The injuries have been piling up, so hopefully this break help get some guys fit and returning.
yeah, and I think they only lose really one or two guys, uh, for AFCON and the Asia Cup and stuff like that. So you know, that's I guess the one positive. Speaking of positives, there weren't much in this game where Man City held 80% possession and just kind of did nothing with the ball for the most part. We're talking Man City and Sheffield.
Hmm.
I mean, first off, this goal, Sam. Rodri winning the ball about 40 yards from net and just running up 25 yards without anyone getting in his way and
Yeah,
then just slotting it. I mean, like, what even is that?
continuously backing off and backing off and backing off and backing off until he's close enough to shoot. I mean, I think it just goes into that mentality that I was talking about earlier, where teams come in when they're facing City and they go in with like a losing mindset that they're already gonna get beat, and then it just turns out games like these where it's like, why even play? You already lost before you walked in the door.
Yeah, it's something like I know we're talking about Brentford not being so well, but even like Brentford last year when they went in there and Tony got his hat trick and stuff like that, or Crystal Palace always seemed to give uh City a fight.
Yeah,
It's just like you don't have to only park the bus. You just have to play not to lose. But like you said, these teams come in and they just play not to lose. Like
yeah.
I don't think Sheffield had the ball past the halfway point really ever.
They had two chances through Osula before halftime that were like half chances, really.
Yeah.
One was blocked by Akanji, and then a header was saved, but that was pretty tame from a corner. But yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, just overall, it looked like Sheffield, the players were running in quicksand, how slow they were and how easily City was just working the ball around them. And of course, this is one of those games where a guy like Phil Foden, where he's just running all over the place, no one's picking him up. It's easy for
Yeah.
him to just get on the ball and make some assists for his teammates.
I also don't really understand like how Cameron Archer, who's clearly your best goal scorer or at least threat to score and create on his own, just like doesn't start every game
Yeah,
out of
that's
like
insane.
default. Like the Ben Slimani, and he's Ben Slimani. Like what is this? What are we doing here? What are
Yeah,
we doing? Um, Goes in halftime 1-0. Second half, you're talking about it. Phil Foden cooking, feeding Julian Alvarez.
yeah, just a perfect threat of a pass.
Yeah, the only thing you can really say is Foden quietly kind of finding his form, really clicking right now.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think you could say anyone minus like Grealish had a down game, really, but
yeah. I
even then,
should I
everyone.
should correct myself. It was a beautiful threat of a pass from Oscar Bob to
Yeah,
Foden. Foden's
yeah.
pass to Alvarez. Straightforward. But yeah, this game turned out to be a lot more like what you expected. I said like 5-0, but you said it would just be a City,
It's I
grind
don't
out.
think City really have that in them to go like 5-6-0 anymore. They just want to suffocate the game as soon as possible. And it's probably for the best that they don't do that stuff. Just limit their I don't know, I guess conserve their energy, especially guys that are injury prone like Kovacic and stuff. Just kind of make it through the game,
Yeah,
do it as easy as possible.
right.
Realize that there's a lot more important stuff ahead.
They don't need to do that.
No, they don't. Unless it's going to be them like walking the ball in, they don't have to.
All right, not too much else to say about that one. Let's move
No,
on to Wolves versus Everton.
the
Everton no
real club
longer
of the future.
club of the future. They've been surpassed by Wolves. Wolves are the new club of the future.
Yes. And the club of now.
The club of the present, club of the future. They're doing well.
Yeah, this one, Wolves are just really cooking, and Cunha is actually kind of finding his own out there
Yeah.
right now for him. He had a real good game. Um, Wolves have a good setup in midfield. I mean, shit, when Tommy Doyle's out there cooking your team, Everton, you're gonna have to reflect.
I like Tommy Doyle.
I mean, he looked fine. He looked good in this one. I think that says a bit more about Everton right now. Everton's really kind of just fallen off. Um, Tarkovsky, given what he has been, is kind of becoming somewhat shell of himself, making a little more errors.
Yeah,
Uh,
I thought,
Anyone minus really McNeil right now at the moment, I could take or leave on Everton.
I think Everton basically lost this game when they lined up with a back five.
Yeah, against Wolves.
They got completely outnumbered in the midfield. Um, they pretty much just had Onana and Garner in the midfield,
Yeah,
and they
and you have
got
McNeil and
completely
Harrison
overran.
wide, and it's like I don't know why they were so worried about being wide for Wolves. I get Wolves pack the midfield with Semedo Nuri, Ait Nuri more forward, but I don't know. I felt like they were able to play pretty centrally given the fact that Everton had so many guys back, like you said.
Yeah, I just really don't see a reason to play a back five in this game.
Well, we'll start off with the first goal. Wolves have a good chance. Craig Dawson, I guess it was cleared off the line, or it was like blocked and sat there. And then Kilman runs up and just smashes it in.
Truly a bundled in goal.
Yeah, you'd love to see it if you're Wolves. And it just reminded me, because obviously Craig Dawson scores again later in this one, but before the year when we thought Wolves would be, kind of hard, it'd just be hard to manufacture goals, and I said Craig Dawson would be their leading scorer. How funny is it that you have these managers that come in that are supposed to be like big time guys from Portugal and from all over, and they can't manufacture these goals, even though they're supposed to play a beautiful style. And then Gaz O'Neill comes in, and he's like, "Yeah, we're just gonna play some quick 1-2s, make some darting runs in behind, and now Wolves can actually score goals." Sam,
Keep it simple, stupid.
yeah,
Always say
yeah, less is more.
less is more.
Anything else in the first half that stood out to you?
Yeah, there wasn't really a whole lot other than there's pretty much Everton just really struggling to get the ball forward, but not being able to get it out of the midfield and getting to the forwards
I'm sorry. Can we?
was a
I
struggle.
know that he. It's not fully his fault because he's a guy who needs service and he'll score. But even when he gets chances these days, like Calvert Lewin is not really clicking. Can we get the Beto guy in there? He can at least kind of
Yeah,
run on the ball too.
yeah, I would have liked that in this one.
Yeah, let's give him a go. See how it goes. Um, Second half, we get a goal early on Matthias Cunha from Hwang Hee Chan.
Yeah,
I mean, if you can get Cunha going, that'd be huge. Mainly for the fact that he can be somewhat of a distributor and a goal scorer, a little mix. Um, Definitely looked better than Sarabia in this one. Sarabia didn't look that great. The main thing for Wolves was Pedro Neto coming back in this
hmm
one, returning from injury.
good to see him back. Yeah, after that, there was a big chance for Hwang Hee Chan after Keane and Tarkovsky with some horrific defending where they just kind of bumped into each other.
Yeah.
But that chance hit off the post. Rough game for Hwang Hee Chan in this one. Just couldn't find the back of the net.
No, he does get the assist, but yeah, it was not his best game given how he's been clicking.
Yeah,
But also coming off that injury, having to be subbed off against Brentford, I didn't even know he was going to be back this game.
that is true. Uh, and then shortly after, like you mentioned, Craig Dawson stays up from a corner, and Cunha puts in another ball that Dawson just flicks on goal and scores.
Yeah, that was kind of weird because Pickford still thought it was going all the way through, and then he's like, "Oh nope, there's no way." He's like, "I'm not getting there."
There was a chance for McNeil. He had a shot hit off the post, and then Hwang Hee Chan scored but was offside. That one ends 3-0. Dominant victory for Wolves. Really, really well done there. Solid victory. Everton looked really rough. That
Yeah, I hope for Everton's sake that you know, the momentum and the bounce after getting the points deduction isn't just gone, but it does feel a bit used up, does it not? Feels like whatever momentum they had as far as playing is
I
kind of
mean,
used up, but maybe it's just their setup. Maybe Dyche has kind of
yeah,
lost the plot a bit.
I feel like they were kind of behind the eight ball with the setup in this one, and that kind of took them out of the game. So I still feel like they have the quality there, but yeah, maybe not the back five in games. And like you said, maybe give Beto a run out there too.
Yeah. Well, we could talk all day about setup with this team, but as I said on the last pod, there's just no rhyme or reason to anything they do. I'm talking about Manchester United. They were uh, at the City Ground against Nottingham Forest in this one, Sam.
Yeah,
And it was another Manchester United performance.
it was
It's
a peak Manchester United performance.
it's just a mix of Bruno not doing much. It's a mix of Le Spinny Man not doing much on the ball. Like I did, like even Anthony coming off in the second half, and it's like Diallo comes on and he like touches the ball more, and he's just more involved. Like that shouldn't
Yeah,
happen, but it
he
is what
did
it
more
is.
in like 2 minutes than Anthony did in 54.
50, yeah, yeah. It's tough when Garnacho doesn't just pull goals out of his ass for you, and you actually have to have some semblance of tactics.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought Eriksson was really poor in this one, too.
yeah, I mean, he was at least probably better than how he's typically been, but yeah, I mean, the holding midfield is Eriksson and Mino.
That's not good.
No, no, it's
Nowhere
not.
near.
And you have to protect those two are the only line of defense protecting Evans and Varane. Like I don't think it's this crazy. I think their best attacking play in this game might have been like Dallo. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know what to say other than that.
Yeah, the first half was very uneventful, other than Varane nearly scoring an own goal.
Yeah. The only positive you can say, if you want to have a positive for United, is they neutralized Chris Wood. So congratulations.
Yeah, the mighty Chris Wood, the mighty Kiwi.
They didn't stop that longer revenge game though. He was balling out. Same with Gibbs White in
Hmm.
this one.
Yeah,
So
guys had a good game. Yeah, that first half very much played in the midfield. Neither team really cementing their control on this one. Went into halftime 0-0. Second half, some more action, thankfully, picked up. Dalot had a strike from outside the box, hit off the post. And then Forrest taking the lead. Dominguez takes the lead after a ball from Montiel. So much space afforded to the Nottingham Forest players.
that's what I
United,
just don't get.
yeah, it
Wide
really
open
makes
in the
no
box.
sense.
Wide open in the box. No one near him. Brutal. What can Onana do?
Yeah, nothing. I mean, that's it really is head scratching how someone can get that much space in the box like that.
Yeah. Just terrible.
Just a complete lack of communication between the defense and the midfield.
Hmm.
Not good.
And then after that goal, United did pick up the attack a little bit, just getting forward, winning the ball a little more in midfield. Um, and Rashford actually coming through, actually doing something, but Nottingham Forest creating this themselves. Matty Turner with a back pass, or not a back pass because that wouldn't make sense. Playing it out of the back. Um, I think to Murillo. I don't know for sure.
He
It
was
was one of the
attempting
center
to.
backs. Yeah, it was one of the center backs. Anyways, got intercepted. Um, United work it, and
Garnacho.
Rashford scores it. Yes.
Yeah, it just feels like Matt Turner at this point is a ticking time bomb of just like he'll make at least like 3 of those mistakes, and I feel like a team scores probably like 1 out of every 4. So he's getting scored on due to one of his mistakes like every other game basically. And it's pretty hard to watch, to be honest. I mean, he makes some nice saves, but these boneheaded mistakes, they're hard to excuse.
Yeah, I think that it's just another excuse that these teams, not everyone can play out of the back with the ball at their feet
Yeah.
as a goalkeeper. That's just not their style, you know. Sometimes it's okay to have a Joe Hart style guy who just stops shots. It is
Yeah.
what it is, you know.
Especially
Everyone
if
has to play
you're
their Pep Guardiola football.
a bottom half team.
Yeah.
Just boot it down the field, get it to Chris Wood, you know.
Yeah, let him win a header. He's better at heading the ball than you are at playing passes on the ground.
Yes,
That's
well
for
said.
sure. He gets paid to do that. You shouldn't really get paid to play passes on the ground. But yeah, well, Keylor Navas rumored to come back. The return,
I'd
the
like it.
hashtag return.
He was really good for Forrest.
Yeah, made some big saves and stuff. And then the game really kind of opened up. Some counterattack chances for both sides. And it's Nottingham Forest to capitalize with Alonga finding Gibbs White. Gibbs
Man,
White coming up big.
just a beautiful run and a beautiful curling goal from Gibbs White. But once again, so much space. allowed by the United defense and midfield. The midfield was like non-existent on this goal. Pretty
No,
awful. But
no one getting back.
fantastic play by Gibbs White.
Yeah, and then we saw probably the last appearance for Reguilon because he's returning to Tottenham after the loan spell. They're cutting it short, and I think that's great that United did that. Yet they still subbed him on. It's like, yeah, no, we're actually sending you back to where you came from, but before we do, we're actually still going to use you for 5 minutes.
That's true.
Yeah, peak United, no rhyme or reason to their game. They just play, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. So many of these just completely random loan spells.
Well, they're apparently going to get Choupo-Moting. Did you see that?
Yeah, him and Thomas Mueller. I don't know why they get linked with Thomas Mueller every year. Like, that's not going to happen. That will
Yeah,
never
he's going to
happen.
leave Bayern. This is the year he
He's
leaves.
going to leave Bayern when he's
It's more likely he goes
34.
to Luton in 5 years than he goes to United ever.
Except at that point, the Ken won't exist. So,
I
the
suppose.
gravitas of Luton fades away.
True.
Yeah, a couple
Moving on.
chances late on.
Oh,
Just
you wanted to
before.
continue.
Yeah, Turner did make a nice save. Bruno had a deflected volley,
Oh yeah, they tipped over.
and then Eriksson with a late chance, but he scuffed it wide. So that one finishes 2-1. Big victory for Forest United. Another shameful defeat.
There's not much to say about United. They might as well just have a random generated result every game. No performance is good or bad or neutral, just from any of their I mean they're all bad relative to being Manchester United, but um nothing's like really good. I wouldn't say that they've had one performance that stood out since the Chelsea game. That's been the only game where they actually looked up for it. Otherwise, it's all just kind of chance. And now the jig is kind of up on Ten Hag, but yet I don't know. They're just gonna hold on to him, I guess.
Yeah, I think so, and they'll keep letting him pick transfers.
That's insanity. Did you see
The Newcastle
the
guy. Is that what you're
no
gonna say?
no? I was gonna say the Demba Ba on Ralph Ranić quote.
I don't think so.
Oh, he said he was like, "You'd be amazed who they tried to sign," and it was like just totally like guys that they'll never sign. He was like, "Yeah, Ranić wanted to sign Vardiol, Bellingham, Holland, Enzo." It's like, what are you talking about? This is insanity. I'm supposed to believe Ralph Ranić was just about to build the greatest team ever. He literally like just hit it on every transfer. It's like, no, I don't believe it. So, no, I have nothing to say. United are just existing.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that apparently that Dan Ashworth that came from Brighton from uh from Brighton to Newcastle this season. Apparently he's gonna go to United now.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't matter if you keep letting Eric Ten Hag pick transfers and sign guys who suck.
I saw a thing today that United fans were really surprised about. That was they're worse this year than the first Moyes year, and I was like, it's not even close. Like, at least with the Moyes year, you had some like organization defensively. The team like made sense still, even though they're kind of like a lot of washed up guys. You're still getting goals consistently from Van Persie and stuff. Like it, like what world are you in where
Yeah.
this team would be anywhere near that team? Not to mention the Premier League is, I mean, at the very top, better than it was in 2014.
I would say like from top to bottom it's better.
Well, that's just because
I think the bottom teams compete much more than
minus Sheffield.
what they did. Well, yeah, Sheffield's not like a real team, but
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think Burnley now would at least be able to beat up on 3 or 4 of those other teams that
Yeah, there was some
really couldn't do anything.
horrendous
some whole,
teams.
some whole city teams out there.
Villa
They're
back in
great.
the day
Cardiff, yeah, Villa.
was so
Oh
bad.
man,
One of the worst
Ah.
teams I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, that's great. I agree. But it's like I just saw that and I was like, yeah, what did you think? Your team, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Whatever. It is what it is. Um, moving on. Fulham and Arsenal, little London derby.
Tottenham versus Bournemouth.
Sam, we said it. Normally I call you out when you're uh too skeptical of Arsenal not going to play well. We sniffed this out. We either said a draw or a very competitive game in some regards.
Did I say 2-1 Fulham? Did I say 2?
You might have. I you might have said
I
one of
feel
us
like you
definitely
said
picked
a
a draw.
draw, and
I know that.
I feel like I'm.
Otherwise, you said a draw and I said a 2-1 Arsenal victory. But
Yeah.
regardless, we knew it'd be close. And this
Yes.
game was pretty tough. I mean, Arsenal had their chances, to say the least, and they kind of wasted them. But um, it starts off Arsenal get a goal. Bukayo Saka off a rebound. Who even shot the ball originally? Was it like Martinelli or something?
That's a good question. Yes, Martinelli with the
Took
initial
like a
shot.
rip from that, yeah,
Yeah.
an angle, and Saka comes in, taps it home, makes it 1-0 Arsenal. After that, took a little while for Fulham to kind of get into it, but Arsenal really weren't building on their uh, lead. I know I called for Nketiah to start, and it did not go well. The service was not quite there in
That's
this
the thing
one.
that I find hilarious is like everyone's ragging on Eddie Nketiah, but it's like I don't know what he's supposed to do when Arsenal are playing horseshoe ball of death and there's no
Yeah,
service. Like you could put me up there and the same thing's going to happen. You could put Holland up there and the same thing's going to happen. If you're not getting the ball in the box, then it
yeah,
doesn't matter. I mean, the chance creation was like really bad in this one. I mean, at least in the game against West Ham, it came down to finishing, but in this one, it was just
yeah,
like the ball movement was horrendous. Like no one plays a 1-2 on this team anymore. If you pay attention to that, look at last season and look at this season. No one plays 1-2s. No one plays
it's.
freaking triangles. No one plays quick passes. It's all
I know
so
it's.
drawn out.
I know it's banter from other teams, but a lot of teams point to Rice jokingly not being as good as Arsenal fans say he is, and it's like he's their one saving grace right now.
Yeah.
Because Odegaard, I wouldn't say is definitely not bad, and he's definitely not. He's a little above average, but he's not at the Odegaard standard that we've seen the last year or two.
Well,
Um,
the thing is too is also he's been a little bit further back in terms of the play build up,
true,
and so he's not
true.
right at the cutting edge, which I don't understand that tactic whatsoever. Obviously, you get more control of the game, but it doesn't matter when you can't
Well, either
create
Havertz or
chances.
Odegaard would have to be back, depending on
Yeah,
you know who you want coming up with the ball. And King Kai did not have the best of games this game.
I mean, for
Um,
me, the downfall comes in the underperformances of Saka and Martinelli, who have had big
yeah,
drop offs from last season. Yeah,
Martinelli
Martinelli's.
is had a rough go, and the Trossard form is not quite there. Um, Mainly because you're constantly pulling them around, having them do different stuff, making them start, having them off the bench. No real consistency for him to build off that. He even tried to harness Reese Nelson magic in this game,
Yeah.
which that's when I knew it was very serious. Uh, Fulham get a goal, 29th minute. Raul Jimenez at the back post. Oh, Tom Kearney squared ball. Um, Very solid game out of Kearney and Paulinho putting in a shift in that midfield. Um, Wobie pretty decent game too in this one. Not amazing, but by his standards, but solid. Willian had a nice run in that goal in the build-up, but he didn't really do anything in this one.
Oh,
So, um, yeah, and then your guy Tomiyasu, who apparently I don't know what the rumor was, but that he might get loaned out or something like that.
that's
Meanwhile,
what I kept
Arsenal always have
hearing.
meanwhile Arsenal always have injury issues, but he comes on for Kivior, who was not, in my opinion, at fault for that first goal, even though it was Jimenez at the back post. It was a hell of a ball.
I, I feel like also his best position is at center back, not at left
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, probably center back and a back three, but um yeah, after that, I mean Arsenal had a good amount of chances, especially in the second half, but it was Fulham who grabbed a second. Bobby D. Cordova Reed. Speaking about kind of bundling one in, um, makes it 2-1.
Yeah, there's just not good enough from Arsenal. I mean, it's clear how you play against Arsenal. Every team now knows all you have to do: low block, hit on the counter, score on corners. That's it. Simple game plan. One of the most simple game plans to play against for any team. You look at Arsenal, you know exactly what to do. You're sitting back, and then you're going to capitalize on their faults. And they've, you know, they can't score efficiently. Make you pay for that kind of play style.
Yeah, this kind of feels more like Arsenal the year prior. Even you could even maybe say the 2021-2022 Arsenal. Um, kind of. Whereas last year, they actually looked a lot better.
Much more
Uh,
dynamic.
yeah, it felt like the team was more in sync. It feels
Yeah,
like now the squad might be, um, I don't know. It just I wouldn't say the quality's dropped off, but like,
the vibes have dropped.
yeah, and part of it's just like cutting out guys like Smith Rowe and Ramsdale, guys who got you here
Yeah,
to make like
why is
what
Smith Rowe not
marginal
getting subbed on in this game?
make like marginal improvements for like more expensive guys like Raya. Sure, he might be better than Ramsdale, but if it is, it's not by a ton.
Right.
Havertz, is he better than Mill Smith Rowe and a couple other options that you have? Maybe, but it's not by much if he is. So I don't know. That's why the whole Arteta thing right now, I'm just kind of out on Arsenal at the moment. But maybe soon enough, if stock drops low enough, I'll buy some.
We shall see. So, anyways, Fulham back to winning at home, as they do. Arsenal.
Well, we might have to talk about the Saka miss from like point blank.
Uh, okay, well, they missed.
Well, it was out there. Um, yeah, 2-1 Fulham. We talked about them. They're home merchants. That's what they do. Arsenal struggling right now,
Arsenal reverting into the horseshoe ball of death.
which we don't need for my eyes.
Yeah,
For
please
my eyes.
stop.
Moving on to Mate FC
The
versus
mate,
the hottest team in the world,
the mates
Bournemouth.
per minute. This guy puts off the chart.
Did
Expected
you
mates.
did you see the one today about the trophy?
I don't think so.
Oh, this guy's like, "Do you envision yourself lifting trophies?" And he's like, "I have, mate. I got actual pictures of it, mate. Mate, mate, I've won trophies. They're real. I don't have to imagine it, mate." It's just him doing that like the whole time.
What
It's
an
like I don't even know
insane
what the guy was
question.
trying to ask. Like he's like, "Are you gonna bring trophies to Tottenham?" But
Yeah.
he just didn't want to say it. Um, this one got rolling early. Newly extended Pop Sar on the board from Gio Lo Celso, who I just don't. I'm just not a fan of. I'll just say it. I'm just not
I
a fan of
can't
that
believe
guy's
he's
game.
still at the team, but
He grinds his way to get in there, I guess.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, Tottenham's attack in this game clicking. Their defense not quite as much. I get they still have their makeshift kind of back line because of all the injuries, but it's it's not a very balanced team at the moment due to all those injuries.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that first goal, very poor from Neto.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was a good match though. First half, both teams kind of getting after it. Bournemouth, they weren't just getting run over completely. There was,
No, they're playing well.
they were moving the ball, pressing,
I
uh,
thought Cook and Tavernier looked damn good this game.
and I feel like they definitely had chances that they could have capitalized on that they really should have done better with that kind of did them in the first half.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, the biggest one I would say probably right before halftime. Solanke had a deflected shot hit off the bar out.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially with how Big Dom's been rolling, you'd think that that one goes in, but not
right.
today.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Goes into halftime 1-0. Second half, some chances early on. Vicario coming up with a good save on Dom Solanke, and then Richarlison had a chance on the counter. Uh,
Yeah, I mean Tottenham really clicking in this game. If they're able to get something, anything out of Richarlison or Brendan Johnson, I mean it almost feels like it increases their odds like 200% that they'll win. If they get a goal contribution out of one of those guys, it's like, oh wow. And you know what? In this game, they do. Um, Obviously, the second goal, Son, who's revitalized, has just bounced back to being one of the best attackers in the Premier League. But
yeah.
that third goal, Richarlison from Brennan Johnson, I think it's a miracle work by Ainge to get anything out of Richarlison at the moment.
Richarlison and Brendan Johnson.
Yeah,
I'm still
they're
I'm still on the
the
opinion that Brendan
Tottenham.
Johnson is not good.
No, Tottenham's recruiting is. If it wasn't for United, I mean, it would be laughable. Guys
That's
like
true.
Brian Heel coming on, it's like,
Yeah,
what are you gonna do with that? You know, it's just not good. And I mean, all they could do is really put on like Eric Dyer, but you can't start him because it's Eric Dyer. He's not any good anymore.
right.
So even though they have no defense, but Bournemouth they get one at the very end. Alex Scott from Tavernier talked about how much we'd liked Alex Scott this year, but obviously that big injury kind of set him back.
Hmm.
So it ends up 3-1 Tottenham. Tottenham a little bit rolling here. They actually had a real nice festive spell. I think they took 9 points from 4 games. Um, pretty solid.
Yeah, definitely getting back. I think too, getting some guys back from injury. It sounds like Mickey Van de Ven is going to be back soon. So yeah, I think their little slump probably is.
Well, we'll see.
I'm not saying that they're going to make a title charge, but
No, I think you are. You said second half of the year. We're doing a title charge,
doing a
mate.
title charge.
Doing a title charge, mate. Um, Speaking of title charges, Liverpool. Can they keep it rolling against Newcastle? The team that says they have a bunch of guys hurt, but they pretty much have a completely solid starting 11. Even though Paul Dummett's on the bench, but still. Um, this one, good amount of chances for Liverpool early. Newcastle were just really kind of pinned in, and it felt like they just feel like a team that's pretty. I don't know if the injuries are impacting the guys that are playing necessarily, like guys are playing hurt, but they just all look gassed.
Yeah.
They all looked gassed in this game, and that play style, when you play as physical as they typically do, it's really taxing on you. It's really taxing, and the midfield is just getting outworked. Their defense is definitely has to be a lot more active than last year, rather than just being in possession and holding it. Um, but yeah, I felt like Liverpool were running up and down the field this entire game on them, and it really, as open as it was mainly like 80 or 85% Liverpool, and then that 15 to 20% Newcastle in terms of chances, really. Um, but yeah, I jokingly texted you during the game. I was like, this looks like a Chelsea like inter squad scrimmage, because Liverpool just like could not even couldn't score, like just were totally terrible at taking chances.
Yeah. In particular, Darwin Núñez setting the record for most expected goals without a goal. I mean, it was crazy how many
Uh,
chances he had that he just was not able to score from.
Yeah, I texted you during the game too about that, and I was like, "Oh, he's cooking." And you're like, "By cooking, do you mean missing every easy chance?" I'm like, "Well, that is how he cooks."
That's the Darweezy cook.
But
It's
it's
a
so funny
reverse
because
sear.
I think it's now put the Liverpool fans into like this hypnosis, because Klopp will come out and complain they're not loud enough, but after you see that so many times where a guy like misses the easiest chance possible, and then he's like running around crazy trying to hype up the crowd, it's like, no, you just missed like an easy chance. What are you doing? I'm not gonna boo, but I'm just so confused. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Uh,
you gotta put a couple of these in before I start, you know, really
believing.
getting loud.
Yeah, and Luis Diaz, you know, he hasn't been all that great this year either. And I get he's had a lot of the personal stuff going on. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, from a performance perspective, it's just not really going for him at the moment either. Their midfield at least looked better in this game. The Endo,
Mhm.
Sabojolai, Curtis Jones, it at least looked like decent. But like we said, a lot of that was Newcastle just not playing that well.
Yeah. Yeah, Liverpool getting a penalty after Diaz tripped in the box. It was
That was pretty soft, but
it was
also
pretty
it's
soft.
raining.
Yeah.
It's raining,
That pitch is
slippery.
horrendous.
Yeah,
Um,
Boatman went in for a slide, and it's like, well, you're gonna slide a little further than you think. Or a lunge, I guess, not really a slide, but same difference.
Salah stepping
Mo
up.
Salah with another just horrendous penalty. For as good as he
Yeah.
of a player as he is, an all-timer, he might be the worst penalty taker for like a good natural goal scorer
Mhm.
in Premier League history, as far as I know.
Yeah, it was pretty
Like
rough.
there's so many that he'll just sky or go right down the middle, and it's just super soft. It's like, what is that?
Yeah, brutal. Um, Nunez with some more chances, saved by Dubravka. Dubravka, standout
Coming up
player.
big.
I mean, he
What
went
what did
absolute
he have, like 10
nuts.
saves by like the 60th minute?
Yeah,
Something crazy.
it was insane. Uh, Newcastle did score. Dan Burn scores,
Yeah,
but Isak offside.
offside. Yeah, this game, and then, I mean, to top it off, Anthony Taylor just not giving yellow cards out. It's
Yeah,
like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Newcastle just completely crashing into like Liverpool players from behind and stuff in the middle of the field, and it's like that. After like three, it's accumulation. Joelinton had like one of the worst, like a guaranteed yellow, just a guaranteed yellow tackle on like the edge of the box, and he plays the advantage, and then he goes back, and he doesn't give him a yellow.
yeah, insane.
It's like, hello, what did you just
The
forget
most
entirely?
clear-cut yellow card not given.
Yeah.
And then he later got one, got a yellow. So it's like,
Yep.
yeah,
After just like literally going right at I think it was Gravenberg's like legs in midfield, making him have to jump over and fall over him. Uh, was the Trent shot off the post in the first half? I can't remember. Where he ripped it from literally like the the end line. He just ripped it
Oh yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah,
tightest
yeah.
of angle off the
Right.
crossbar.
I think
I
that was
think
in
it
the
was
first
late
half.
first half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been insane.
That would have gave Garnacho a little bit of a challenge. I
Yeah.
think Garnacho's goal is still better, but it would have been close.
Yeah, it would have been a
Um,
good competition.
yes. So it goes in halftime 0-0. Second half, Liverpool are just tearing Newcastle open. They actually have some nice passing sequences, and it leads to Darweezy Habibi feeding Mo Salah, squaring the ball straight across, and Mo Salah tapping in on an empty net to make it 1-0.
Great ball from Luis Diaz. The Darweezy there.
Yes. And then we have a goal for Newcastle, really out of nothing, a little counterattack play. Liverpool just sagging off. Anthony Gordon actually had a really nice maneuver to get open,
Hmm.
create a little space, and then slipping Isak through on the perfect through ball. Out of nothing, it's 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, props to Anthony Gordon on that one. It's just, trying to get something out of this game when your team's sluggish and you're just having to go up against it, putting in those runs, even though most of the time that they're not getting paid off, but keep going after it. And he did get the payoff there with the goal.
Yes. Um, After that, it was a whole lot of Liverpool really piling it on.
Yeah. Yeah, some more saves from Dubravka, and then finally Liverpool retake the lead. Salah slips in Jota, where's to Curtis Jones for that second goal, and then 4 minutes later, Salah once again putting the ball across for Cody Gakpo, who manages to
He's
just
hot now.
barely enough
Yeah, he scuffs
get
it
his
directly into the
scuff.
ground.
Yeah,
The
terrible
ultimate,
shot.
the goalie's not expecting it because he's expecting a good shot and would have a chance to save it if it was a good shot. But it was a bad shot and it trickles in.
Yeah, it was like a EFIS pitch baseball.
Pretty much. Newcastle go down, win a corner, and Boatman. I mean, the announcers made it seem like, oh, that's way too easy. Liverpool gave that up. I mean, it was a pretty solid ball, and also Boatman just rose up and made a nice play.
Yeah, it was a good
Um,
job.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't like like did they give him a little more room than you'd like? Yeah, but also, sometimes you tip your cap. That was a good corner routine. And last time I checked, Newcastle still has a lot of height and air prowess. Uh, Even though they're not playing that well.
Yeah, and I
That's
forget who
probably the
was
one of the most retainable skills, that doesn't really slump quite as much.
I forget who was supposed to be marking him, but it was like, okay, well, I mean, you're not gonna win the ball anyways, so
Yeah. It's probably like McAllister or something.
I don't think it
Um,
was him, but someone on the shorter end.
yeah. And then we have a penalty to round it off. The little bit of controversy.
Yeah, truly
Uh, J-
disgusting.
Jota played through one-on-one with Dubravka, dribbles him, slightest bit of contact, goes down rather than shooting at the empty net.
Goes down about
But
a solid like 3 seconds after the contact.
I just didn't get it. Like, what even is the point of that? You do that to try and hopefully get the keeper sent off?
Yeah, that made no sense. Why not just shoot?
Yeah, why not just shoot on an empty net and you get a goal and you pretty much seal it for your team? Instead, you draw it out. They have to go to VAR to check. They might not give you the penalty. They do in this case because there was enough contact, or so they deemed it. And he makes it. Mo Salah actually scores this one, makes it 4-2.
Yeah, don't like it.
Also, I don't know why they're making such a big deal about Mo Salah's celebration, him sitting on like the half wall.
He took it from Kudus.
Did he?
Kudus did it first.
Yeah. I didn't know. I know
Yeah,
that's not
they
you
did
getting
it
upset
when they
about it.
scored a
It's
brace.
probably West Ham, but
I'm out here freaking hitting the suit because Salah scored for my fantasy Premier League team. So
which I think it's over now. I think we just it's you did me dirty this year.
yeah, well,
I
we'll
won the
see.
last few. I won the last few, but you got a real good team this year.
Yeah, but
My team's coming on.
with
You know, that's what
AFCON,
happens when you get Cole Palmer,
now I don't have Mo Salah or
Kudus, and Salah.
Kudus, so it's like,
Yeah.
gotta make some
Um.
changes.
So apparently, there's a rumor that Eddie Howe,
Yeah,
oh hot seat.
a little hot. Yeah, pretty harsh, but
If you want your project to keep going and you go the next step, you know, maybe consider it. At least Eddie Howe knows, you know, he can. He'll always have a spot in the Premier League now. After doing what he's done with Newcastle, when he was first hired, you know, he didn't fully know
yeah,
how it'd
that's
work
true.
out. So, uh, let's move on to the last game, Brighton and West Ham. Very
Stinky,
kind of odd game.
stinky.
Yeah, you know, it it played out how we thought in terms of West Ham would sit back, Brighton would hold possession, West Ham would look to counterattack, but the chances and the chance, like people taking the chances, just was not. It just was not there, Sam.
Well, when you're lining up with James Milner as like a left wing, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, Danny Welbeck and James Milner right now have been playing too much for my liking. Too much. And then now they're like one of their first subs off the bench is Jakob Motor. It's like this guy, where's he been for like 2 years? He's been hurt,
Yeah,
and now he's just back. It's like okay, so he just gets to go in right away.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm the De Zerbi ball. I'm not a. I don't see it right now. It's really not clicking. And West Ham really sitting back. It's like you know, they could not break through Brighton's midfield and defense, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's one thing when you sit back and then you score on the counter, but when you sit back and then you don't score, it's like, well, that was
That was an experience
disappointing.
to absorb pressure.
Yeah, like, come on, give me something to feed
Well,
off
you
of
know,
here.
a lot of people would say no Paqueta in this one. Um, as a point of why maybe it wasn't clicking for West Ham.
I know
But
Kudus.
yeah, no Kudus as well. Fornell's not the best of performances out there. Ben Rama wasn't really clicking.
West Ham made one sub.
Yeah, who was it? The Mubaba or what's his name?
Mubama.
Mubama.
Maxi Cornet.
Mubama.
R.I.P.
Where's
This
Danny Ings in this one?
this bench
Come on.
is so awful. Holy smokes.
Yeah. A lot of saves for Ariel in this one, but all the chances were really like half chances and the ball was kind of bouncing around. Um Whether it was corners or some kind of thing that resulted in an aerial chance, that was the majority of this game. There was not much for actual chances through the ground, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, second half there was more chances. Early on, handball shout on Emerson not given. I was a little surprised. All but what is a handball anymore? Who knows? No one knows. Yeah, a couple chances for Brighton, Welbeck and João Pedro. Not really capitalizing on the chances. Suchek had a big chance for West Ham, but he drove it wide. Then Ferguson Motor had a chance. Lallana had a chance, but no finishing in sight.
True or false, this was Brighton's first clean sheet of the year.
True.
True. It is true. It got spread too much. That fact got spread too much.
Yeah, they mention
Um,
it every game. They're like, all right, Brighton conceded. So they still haven't kept a clean sheet, which
yeah,
is crazy.
yeah. So finishes 0-0. West Ham kind of falling off. I mean, they're the best team of the festive window in the 4 games, with 3 wins and a draw, and especially the wins that they grabbed were pretty good wins. So
But how much of
yeah,
that came from Kudus?
true, true. Maybe he's just flying back after every game. They're just hoping that they get more FA Cup and Carabao Cup games. They don't want any more Premier League games.
Yeah.
All right.
True.
Well, that wraps up match week 20 in the books.
Mm-hmm.
No Premier League this weekend, unfortunately. Take a little bit of break as we have FA Cup, and I don't think there's a Carabao Cup. I think that's all midweek. But yeah, we got there's some English footy. It's just not Premier League, which is sad.
That's okay. We can all take
This
a
mean-
rest after the busy
mean-
holiday period.
This means narrative pod next weekend or next week.
Sure does.
Oh boy, I
Got
must
a
start
lot to
cooking.
talk about.
We got a lot to talk about. So, anything else you want to touch on?
You know, I think that's it. That's all we got.
All right. Well, until next time, adios, mis amigos.
Bye.